how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. It feels lovely outside today. So last week we got over 100 degrees and then we had a massive windstorm, actually like 3 windy days in a row. And now we're like into the high 70s, low 80s as our
beautiful.
highs. Oh, it's such a, like, it feels like you were just saying a gift. And it does. And it makes me in such a good mood, even though, let me tell you about my morning here. So I was getting ready for the day and I was like, all of my shirts are clean, but they all need to be ironed because I wear these type of shirts a lot because one, they protect a lot of my skin. They're comfortable and they're appropriate. Like, I feel like very family friendly attire. Anyway, I started to iron my first shirt, got to the very last sleeve, and somebody left a piece of gum in their pocket. And it was inside my sleeve.
Oh, you didn't tell me about this.
No.
Were you saving it for this? You didn't want to bring it up
I
until the
forgot
camera
to
was
tell you
rolling?
about it, but I was like,
I noticed that there was a shirt in the garbage can.
yeah, it had seen better days. I mean, I've been wearing it for like, I don't know, 5 years. I thought, nah, the gum was the last straw. So then I got the second shirt out and I ironed it and got to the very last sleeve. Huge hole and a rip under one of my arms. So I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So then I just grabbed the next shirt, which is one of my ones I wore when I was pregnant. So it's like huge and baggy, comfortable, but it's got a paint stain on the front.
Time to order some new shirts.
So that has been my morning, but thank goodness it's cool. Keeps me in a good mood. Okay, first video from this week was rainy day antiquing with my mom, and it seemed like you guys really enjoyed that video, and I enjoyed it. It's always fun to go out shopping, doing anything really with my parents is a fun thing, and then, I don't know, something different. Like, get out of our rut a little bit. Well, and let me get you guys' thoughts on this because Erin and I were just talking about this morning, but we've got quite a number of interior house projects that we're about ready to launch into.
About ready? Like,
Well,
within the next year, maybe.
Well, I'm sorry, Russell. We're in the planning stages though. Like, we're talking about it a lot.
Yeah.
We have an architect coming in September to look at our house. And then I think we're going to start some projects, but we don't want this channel to become like a home renovation channel because there's so many of those, and that's what happened to like HGTV. It turned into like a lot of home stuff. So we want to keep this channel, well, this is the highlights channel, but our main channel, we want to keep it very garden related. So we thought, well, maybe we'll start a third channel to just document some of those interior changes, and we don't want it to take away from like the time we spend on our main channel, but we also want to document it. Anyway, I don't know if you guys would be interested in seeing some of those renovations and things. I think they're going to be pretty interesting. I think it won't be heavily produced. Like, the editing will be very minimal, and I won't set up a camera like 10 times to get the same shot.
Well, and you won't be doing the work either.
No, that's true. It's like, this is my thought process, and then somebody else comes and does the work, and then I show it in the end kind of thing. Except for the shopping part, like going and sourcing some things and all of that. So, anyway, it's like he knows. He knows when we come out here. And then I'm going to give him like a lot of big loves so that you guys who say just hug the cat will know that I do. Huh. That's why you come up here so much. Okay, anyway, so top comment. I think this is the top comment from this video. Is from Jeff. If you played the drinking game on Oh That's So Pretty, you'd be blitzed in the first 15 minutes, which is so true. I need to think of some synonyms for pretty, and
beautiful,
start
gorgeous,
inserting those into my conversation. Shirley said, what is the Hartley? And you know, we talked about that in the video because every time we saw a light fixture or a really pretty vase, we were like, oh, this would look great in the Hartley. And we never explained that a Hartley is a Hartley Botanic. It's a glass greenhouse that Erin and I are having installed in the next like 2 months in our garden. Less than 2 months. It should be fully up. Maybe not bricked yet, but fully up. Connie said, how did you get your love of antiques? I think it was just the way I was raised. Like, we did a lot of antiquing. We had a lot of friends that did that as well. And I enjoyed that, like the hunt, even when I was little, because my mom always had things that she was collecting or pieces that I kind of knew her style, even though I wasn't collecting for myself yet. And so it was fun to look through shops and like if you were the one who found that piece, and it was like all the excitement, it was so fun. And then I like it because I'm not a huge trend follower. I kind of like eclectic, much to Erin's chagrin. I think you like some of it. You like the dark kind of colors and like library kind of look. Ish. You would rather not have things pieced together though.
Yeah, I'm more of a do it all at once kind of a guy. Like I would tackle one room at a time and like try to button it up. I feel like for you just said the hunt is
Yeah.
like what you love. I don't love the hunt. I would love the idea of
finished
completion, finished product. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Which it's really interesting talking about home renovations together and trying to meld each other's desires, I guess, because like I'm good with, Aaron wants a lot of continuous flooring and kind of the same look, like some cohesion, and I'm good with some of that. And then there's some things like light fixtures and artwork, like wall art, that I'm really particular about, and so I think you're fine with that. Like we're trying to kind of figure out how to do it. It'll be interesting. We won't fight at all, though, I'm sure. We won't fight about it. Going to the dogs too said, anybody know what the peach flowered bush is next to the Fox Club? That is an oh so easy paprika rose, and it's a beauty. Sabrina said, when you build your pond, ... Was that music to my ears that I heard? Tell us more. We saw a goose, like a big goose wooden one. It wasn't even a decoy. It was just like a decorative wooden goose that was massive. And my mom said, oh, you need that to put around your pond. And we have talked to, we've talked to Greg, and they've actually designed it. He and Brian, his designer, designed a great big, like, half-acre, was it a half-acre pond?
Yeah, something like that.
I forgot about that with this table. Anyway, we were going to do that this year, and then we decided to do the Hartley, and so obviously we can't do everything all at once. And we decided to wait until the kids are a little bit older, because, I mean, water's a magnet. It's like moth to a flame. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too much. it's too much.
He's rubbing his face like, ah.
Well, the thing is that like Benjamin can just, I mean, he stays on the property and he doesn't go very far, and he's a lot better when we call his name. He immediately, says, I'm over here, or
I
whatever.
trained that though, because at first he was silent, and I'm like,
but man, he can like disappear like in a second. And that just having open water and the liability of them having friends and stuff. I don't know. I think maybe when they're like 10 and older,
I don't know.
I'll feel better about it.
I agree with that, because I don't want that stress. But then part of it's like, well, my grandparents had a swimming pool. I was raised around the water, and like you teach your kids what they can and can't do, and part of that's good. It's good training, and it's good for them to have a healthy fear too of things like that.
Right.
And I think that as long as you're training them up, not that accidents can't happen, but I think it's, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like you can't bubble wrap your kids. And I mean, you can to a certain degree, and you want to, but at the same time, you don't want to have them not experience things because of your fears.
Sure. Because
of our fears. I don't know, but I think that's a big one. I think that's too big a fear, and we'll wait on that one. There's a hair. Hold on. Gah. A lot of you guys ask what kind of ice I use in my drink. We buy our ice from the Chevron here in town.
Yeah, we need to get an ice maker.
I need to research. It's like really soft ice, and I love it.
It's like filled with air pockets.
It's not as good as the hospital ice, but I could just have like really fond memories of that ice. But
if anyone's an ice expert, let us know.
What kind of machine can we have in our house to create this kind of ice, because it's so good. This is actually not enough ice. It should go all the way to the bottom and then like heap up a little bit. La Marita Rebecca said, what do you think of the smell when antiquing? Or is it just me that finds it weird? I used to. Now it kind of just reminds me of a library. Isn't it kind of like a library smell to you, Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a little bit of a dusty, maybe musty sort of smell. Some places are worse than others, though. I find the couple of places we go to, so the Antique World Mall and Enchanting Objects in Boise, those are our go-to places. They don't really have that smell, not so bad, because they're super clean places, which I appreciate greatly. Kiara said, what would you call your decorating style? Traditional? I like the same style, but I never know what it's called. Yeah, I would say traditional, eclectic, kind of maybe more curated. I don't really err on like picking out a set of anything, like a bedroom set that has a bed and 2 side tables and a big dresser or whatever. I don't really like that look, because I like it to look like I could see somebody's personality coming out in the decorating. And I do tend to like dark, moody, kind of cozy colors. Not in every single room, but I do tend to like that, especially in our living room areas. I always think, every time we pick out a paint color, like, what is a Christmas tree going to look like up against that? It's the weirdest thing, but I always think it, like, the color's based on what the Christmas tree is going to look like, because that's such a huge part of our life. We love that time of year. And
sure.
we love to go all out decorating. But anyway, Peggy's Helbling's Garden What You've Got says, why do we all whisper or talk softly when we walk through an antique shop? We do. Everyone like gets quiet, and I know that I do, especially when I have a camera out in public, because I don't want to create a complete scene. So I kind of try to keep everything a little bit more
It's like
hushed.
a library.
But it is. You feel kind of like it's a library. Yeah.
Huh.
I never really thought about it, but we do. Michelle said your mom is hilarious. I look like a bug. The glasses. Yeah, we bought those kind of in jest, and a lot of you guys were like, those look great on your mom, and they did. Okay, next video was I love this combination of plants plus a greenhouse update. So I planted 2 containers near our chicken coop. They kind of flank the opening to our brick patio area that has not been dismantled yet. And I love them. I love those containers from this, like even before I planted them, I told Aaron, like, I'm gonna pack these full like I used to always plant things. And I'm loving it already, like the mix of color. And I'm trying out some new plants in those containers too. So there's an Albright Coleus, a James Britannia called Safari Dawn, and then a, what was the other one? A Kella Lily called Be My Main Squeeze. And so those 3 plants are new for next year, and I just wanted to try them out in this kind of combination. So we did that, and then we showed you the great big hole that was dug for our Hartley so that the concrete guy can come and pour the stem wall. Anyway, Zio said, how is your experimentation going with fertilizing your annuals? Any conclusions so far? What do you think? I mean, I haven't really noticed a tremendous enough...
You haven't really had enough heat. All that stuff is usually
time.
Activated by heat. So
Yeah.
I don't think you really notice much of anything until that happens.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have to give it a little bit more time because we're still planting. I still have I have so many containers still yet to plant, and here we are in June. We just have so many projects all the time, and I'm trying to balance the projects here with the projects we have elsewhere in town, and then also trying to get the cut flower garden going, which I've got a few rows that are still empty. I still need to plant some things out there, but if it gets done, it gets done. If not, no big deal. Anita said, how much coffee did you have today? This is the fastest I've ever heard you talk, and I'm usually pretty used to it. You know what? Aaron has to slow me down a lot of times. He has to be like, you got to do that take again because you were talking way too fast. And I don't even really recognize it, I guess. That's just how I've always been. I do drink a lot of coffee, though. I probably had 5 or 6 cups already that day, I'm guessing. And I do occasionally post a picture of a garden tour in the evening where I've got my cup of coffee, and people are like, I hope that's decaf.
Nope.
Carol said, when is that brick raised circle planting area getting dismantled? You walked right by it to show where the greenhouse is going. I think you said it was going. All the changes are so exciting to watch. So much easier to just sit on the sofa and watch. No money or mess for me to deal with. Just watch in awe. We actually just talked about that last night because Aaron was like, we need to start picking up those bricks and getting that area done. But I have zero idea of what's going to go in that space. And since we're so far out,
Just put mulch right there.
Oh, I
feel like mulch would be better than the bricks.
don't think so, because Benjamin is the master at getting mulch everywhere in his
That's true.
feet. And we I'll spend a lot of evenings pulling splinters out of his feet.
Yeah. But we have to take it up shortly because we have to run the electric
Not the
and
whole
water.
thing, though.
Well, you want to take up half of it?
I thought it was just a sidewalk.
You could, but it's not a lot of room for the trencher to get through, though.
It'll happen when it has to happen. I would just once, for whatever project we were working on, even if we scheduled it out 6 months, like the brick patio area. Let's say we wanted to pull that up and have a pergola built. I don't know if that's what we want to do, and put more grass in. So we need to redo the sprinkler system. It would be so nice if we could say, 6 months from this date, let's all plan to start this project. We will have it ready for you, and then have those people show up on that date, even if it was way out.
Right. Yeah, people they don't show up.
No.
And there's nothing you can do.
I know.
There's nothing you can do about
I know. That's why I don't want to pull up the bricks.
Well,
because we are in so much disarray everywhere else.
I think that happens for everybody because, the builders that are building houses in the subdivision, I know that they like to have 2 or 3 homes being built simultaneously, and it's not they're trying to get them all 3 done really quick. They have one main one, and then when they're waiting on somebody to come do something, they'll work on the next house. And if they're waiting on that one as well, they'll work on the third one.
So we may as well just blow Versailles out too. let's just blow that out, and then maybe we can start pulling up all the gravel.
But we already do
and prepping
have
the area for, like, are you gonna have pavement done? Let's
Yeah.
just start prepping for that now, and then maybe we can start digging the hole for the pond.
There you go.
Yeah, we're only like 9 years out from that.
Hey, you know what? It sounds like you're on the right track.
Michelle said, is there a rule of when you can pack containers and when not to? I don't tend to, the only time I don't want to pack things in a container is if I'm using a bunch of Supertunia Vistas, because they get so incredibly huge, so incredibly fast that it's just not worth it. Other times I like to just, you'll see suggested amounts. Oftentimes, like in Proven Winners Container Gardening Recipe Search, it'll show you a container design, and you can see like how many plants they recommend for whatever size container. And you can use that as a point to jump off from, knowing that, they've grown these things and they know how they grow and how they'll do best. I always tend to plant a few more things in a container than that, though. It's fun to me, and I like pots to look really pretty from the beginning. Fanny said, do you sleep well at night? How do you shut your creative ideas down when it's time for bed? Do I sleep well at night?
No, you do not.
No, I do not. I do not sleep well. Thankfully, I do not require a ton of sleep to function. Yeah. I feel like I could use a little bit more than I'm getting right now, though. Burton said, just curious, not trolling, but why the removal of the foundation of the gazebo versus just adding to it? Not a construction person, so genuinely interested. Well, if it was the exact same size as the greenhouse, that would be great. But even then, it didn't have a drain in it. And if we were using it as a floor or a foundation to a greenhouse, you'd have to have some way for the water to escape. And we decided that that concrete pad wasn't the same size anyway. The Hartley is longer and a tiny bit more less
Narrow.
deep. Yeah. So the dimensions weren't quite right on, and we want to do a paver floor. So we wanted it to be a little bit more, I don't know what the word is. I think it'll look a little more charming than like a concrete pad. That wouldn't look as like warm to me. It would look more functional.
Well, also, this is like kind of splitting hairs, but it wasn't level to or wasn't
Parallel the house.
parallel to the house. It was off a little bit, and we thought, well, man, all these reasons, plus we can make it, what we want, make it parallel to the house.
Though, it's weird. I never noticed it not being parallel, and now that they have the hole dug, it looks,
Not
It looks-
Maybe it's just because it's been so long.
maybe. And maybe it's all the lines out there. And I know that hole isn't exact either,
Yeah.
But even the stakes, Eddie's like, you got to look at the stakes in the grass. That's parallel to the house. And even then, I look at it and I'm like,
Are you worried?
well, I really want to get this step right, because, it would be a huge shame if we got the whole thing installed and I'm like, oh, I wish I could just,
Maybe you could. Just pick it up. No big deal.
No. Katie said, is it weird or strange to put the calla in the container without removing it from its nursery can? That way it stays root bound.
Oh, that's
Such a
not
good
bad
idea. Yeah, because calla lilies, which I don't have a tremendous amount of experience with, like to be pot bound. And so I thought, well, I'm packing this thing so full that it's going to be pot bound. But if you just leave it in its nursery can, I think that would be completely fine. And that's a really good idea, Katie. You guys are so smart. Anthony said, what climbing rows do you recommend? Looking for something with easy maintenance. Love the videos. Also, is there a way people can sign up or receive Proven Winner plants for future years, or are they only available to people like you? Okay, first off, the climbing rows recommendation. Honestly, for ease, the Zephyrin Druin, I don't even know how to say it. Zephyrin Druin. It says thornless climbing rows. I've got 4 of them on our chicken run, and for ease and the no pain factor, because there are no thorns, those are an amazing climbing rows. Another one I love, but they are a complete pain, are the colettes. I have 4 of those. They're on 2 arbors that are on either end of our raised bed vegetable garden. They are absolutely glorious. They grow beautifully every single year and produce a ton of flowers. They're like kind of mini English roses, like multi-petaled, beautiful, soft pink. They are one of the thorniest roses ever. They are just packed full of thorns, so there's that to consider. And then as far as a way people can sign up or receive Proven Winners plants for future years, they are usually just send them out to people who have an audience. Like any kind of content creator, like myself, there are other YouTubers that have gardening channels that they send plants out to.
Or writers.
Garden writers, bloggers, people with Instagram accounts that have some sort of following, and it doesn't even have to be a massive following, but just people in different areas that have some sort of audience that maybe have different styles of gardening, because it's really interesting to see how, you know, people will take the same ingredient and make them into different things, and that's really interesting. And it's just kind of like the press, you know, it's just like any way that they can, I mean, because they're a business, they want to get word out about these new plants that are coming, so they want to send them out to people who might talk about them, you know, and kind of help spread the word.
I know I talked to one gal at Proven Winners who was saying that they, during certain times of the years, they get a lot of requests
Really?
from people wanting plants. And they must have some type of criteria for, I don't know what it is, but I mean, you would have to, I'm sure. Like,
You have to have a policy of some kind.
yeah, like, I don't know if it's some, like a certain audience size or what. I don't know.
Karen said, do you have a picture of the actual greenhouse you're going to be putting up? I don't, because we've made some changes. They're all custom. I think I could find something very similar though. The one that I stood inside of at Beetham Nurseries when we were in England, it's got the brick bottom, but it had a cream colored top. We're doing white because our house and barn and all that's white and we want it to match. But it didn't have the cold frames. We are having those cold frames with the really pretty lids on the front of the Hartley. So I'm sure we can find something very similar, even if it's not quite exactly like color-wise or whatever. What we're doing.
Cold frames will be fun.
I think it'll be really fun.
It'll be
And they'll
like
be
a
on the south side.
Interesting thing to like test out.
Next video was planting Oh So Easy Italian Ice Roses. I had 3 that were gorgeous. I had wintered them over from last year. I just didn't have a chance to plant them. I'm actually so thankful for the, what are you smiling about over there?
I'm smiling because I was just remembering how we got done with that video and Ken edited it and he was like, hey, did you notice that Laura never said the name of the rose the entire video? And we were
Just
like,
a small detail.
we were like, well, yeah.
But he put a tag up at opportune moments in the video so that you knew what I was talking about.
Well,
I think it was fine.
I titled it "Oh So Easy Italian Ice" so that people knew it's like, okay, that's
Right.
you know what it was. But
It happens. I don't know. I think we had just talked about it so many times that I just didn't even think about
well,
it.
and it wasn't a big deal, you know. But
Anyway, yeah, so I was saying I'm super happy that we had the plants that we do in the high tunnel, many of which we wintered over from last year in our cold frame, because I think if I would have gone crazy planting all of those things, a lot of them would have ended up near the gazebo, because we were in the middle of kind of filling those flower beds up, and we didn't decide to do the greenhouse until the last week of December, right? It was like the last week of December we decided to do that. And so, yeah, I wouldn't have known, and I would have had a ton more plants to dig up and move. So I'm glad I didn't have to do that. First comment was, I'm glad I'm not the only one who saves the worms out of the backfill soil to stay with the new plant. I do try to save as many worms as I can.
yeah.
It makes me feel good about life. Paul said, are you sure you don't have a degree? How'd you know it was an elm tree seedling? You can't live in our area and not know what an elm tree seedling is. I'm serious. They are trash trees here. They're everywhere. And they spit those little white disc seeds everywhere. And you'll have a seedling that's this big and its root system is like this big. I mean, and they are hard to pull out. They are the biggest pain. And I mean, they're nice shade and all that, whatever, but they start getting weak and they lose big branches in windstorms, and they're just the worst. They're not a nice kind of elm tree. How's that for positivity? Ingrid said, I love the green ground cover with the pink flowers on it. What plant is that? That was a huge question. That is a type of lamium. It looks an awful lot like pink chablis. It was here though when we moved in, and it was a lot smaller when we moved in, and has spread out a little bit, which is really nice. It was originally behind that kind of white picket fence, and now it's getting a lot more sun, so I think it's a lot happier. Helen said, you are so lucky to be rock free. I have small boulders in my garden. Am I wrong to love the untrimmed boxwoods? No, and actually I'm kind of trying to embrace it just because we missed our window a bit. I think if I wanted to trim any boxwoods, I might be able to get away with it, possibly, because we've got 5 days that are very, very mild, but I think it'd still be risky. I don't know. What do you think, Erin?
I would just skip it.
Just
honestly,
leave them
just
until
skip it for a year.
late.
There's some that are
Not for
kind
a full year, right? We would want to do it this fall.
Yeah, you do it in the fall, but I mean the growing season.
Yeah. part of it's nice because I know so many of our boxwood hedges need a chance for fresh growth and just renewal. And I feel like we just keep on hitting them with the hedge trimmers, and then they,
Right.
like, we will get a random hot spell or a really bad windstorm, and then we'll have a brown layer on top, and it just kind of stunts them a little bit and makes them look bad. And we have certain spots that are still recovering from that bad winter we had a few years ago, where I've kind of just babied them along. And now, like, you know, what are we, 4 years later? I kind of wish I would have just dug those up and replanted them, because by now they would look fresh and beautiful instead of still struggling. So
Right.
anyway, yeah, we've just kind of let a lot of our boxwoods just chill this spring. So we'll see. Whoops, what happens. One to be the change said, do you ever have any problems with snakes in your plants? I'm starting my first garden and I found a water snake when I was mowing my lawn. I have only seen like a small handful of snakes here. Honestly, I wouldn't mind having more. They're really good for mice, although, I mean, I don't know if our cats are any good. I've seen them like once their entire lives with us.
Yeah,
with
they're
a
not
mouse.
great mousers.
They might be better than we think, though, because we don't really have a huge mouse problem. The most mice that I see are around our chicken coop area, which is kind of a pain. But anyway, I don't mind snakes. They don't freak me out as long as I see them before I almost step on them. I don't like that when you're walking and all of a sudden something slithers out from underneath your foot, or anything real big. We had a huge snake down at our last house. I have that big giant brown pot that I have the big Japanese maple in by our kitchen door. There was a snake. It was like this big around, and it was wrapped around the entire bottom of that pot, and I couldn't even see where it started and where it ended. It was so big. And I think I called you, Aaron. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm on the patio. There's
Yeah.
a massive snake. I don't know what kind it is. Anyway, it just went away. I don't know where it went. I don't know why it wasn't more afraid after that. Like, it could have been anywhere in that garden. It was so thick. Charlene said, do you ever order flower seeds from Amazon? I see all these vibrant flowers, knowing some of the colors obviously enhanced. Just curious if you've ever tried it or not, and what your experience was like. I have not. Not to say that there isn't a reputable source on Amazon. I'm sure there are. But if you see something that looks too good to be true, like a rainbow colored rose, it probably isn't true. Or
It for sure is not true. There's no rainbow roses.
wait, what did I say?
You said it's probably not true.
Oh no, it's not true. Sorry. Let me mislead you a little bit myself.
You're kind of like, but there's maybe a chance.
Maybe you never know.
Maybe I will get rainbow
Well,
roses.
you know, science. Anyway, there are a lot of people who color enhance their pictures too, like saturate the crap out of the colors. And I mean, I can think of one company in particular, and I don't really want to say their name because I do occasionally order stuff from them, and they're good quality stuff. Like I've been happy, but every time I look at their catalog, I'm like, false representation, guys.
Yeah.
Like, anybody who has ever edited an image in their life will know that you have, like, clicked that saturation button up like several notches. It kind of makes me a little irritated, especially if somebody thinks that that's real and they order it and it doesn't look quite like that when it grows. Shelly said, can you put these in a pot? Absolutely. The rose is a type that doesn't grow super big. I mean, it's going to be 3 feet or under. And stuff that's statured like that, that's sized like that, can typically withstand a pot. Plus, it's a zone 4 rose. So I don't know where you're gardening, what zone you're gardening in, but usually you want to plant something if you're going to overwinter at 2 zones colder than your current growing zone. So like we're a 6 now. So planting a zone 4 is the best bet at survival. GJK said, am I the only one curious on how much mulch she has to get every year?
A lot. So do you want to actually figure it out? So we've had 3.
Do you want to? I'm like, denial is the best.
We've had 3 truckloads of bulk mulch.
Yes.
We've had a couple truckloads of the
Wood chips.
and they're going to bring
Those
more.
are free.
Those are free.
Yeah.
We've also, I think I had like 6 to 8 pallets of bagged mulch delivered. And then this fall, we might try a new thing where we mulch some of the areas, not everywhere, but some key areas with compost, which we've done in the past, but we're going to try it with a different compost, and it'll just be a test. So there you go. You know, I've seen people get multiple pallets of mulch delivered, like on the Groupies Facebook page. I've seen some photos of people posting that, you know, like
Does
the
it make you
spring.
feel better about
well,
what
a little bit,
yeah.
you know, because sometimes it does feel excessive.
Yeah.
You know, when you have a YouTube channel, sometimes you try things, you do things that you wouldn't normally do.
Oh, for sure.
And you
Yeah.
try things out that you wouldn't necessarily recommend, but it's like you have to do it to be able to say whether you would do it again or
Right.
not.
I anticipate using a lot of our leaves this fall too, in the corners especially. If we could
Oh,
just
yeah.
take the mower through the grass like every day so that the leaves don't get very thick, and then we could put all the shredded leaf mulch. I think that'd be so great for those areas out there.
Yeah. Do you want to put any of the leaves in the outer loop or inner loop on the new property? Like where the wood chips are going?
Yeah, that's what
Is
I'm
that
talking
what-
about.
oh, I thought you were talking
yeah,
about
like the
Kevlar
planting area. Oh, yeah, that too. That would be great. Maybe we'll have enough leaves. I don't know, but if we could
Well,
utilize
with all the trees that we're planting, we'll have a lot more leaves.
Well, yeah, but not this. They're all little. In years to come, yeah. But I would love to really use a lot of it.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to. Gatiz said, "Aren't you scared of getting cut from the Felcos?" You know what? That actually has become a little bit more of a fear of mine. Last year, I cut myself twice. I don't know, can I blame it on being pregnant? Probably not. But okay, so I was out pruning our tomato plants and I was in a huge hurry. And I think I told you, this is just gonna take me an hour. And then I got out there and it was taking a long time. And so I just reach in and just cut willy-nilly, and I cut my thumb. And I just came inside, bandaged it up, and went out and kept doing it. And it was kind of hurting, it was kind of a gnarly cut. And then I remember our corn blew over, and I went out to stake it up, and I was in kind of a puff.
Yeah.
I was.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
People need to know.
Yeah, I was a huff. I was in a puff. Anyway, so I went out there, and I had the tea, and I'm pregnant. This is, I don't know what month that was. August, September. I was not feeling great, and it was hot. I had the T-posts out there, and I was pounding in T-posts. I carried some 16-foot ranch panels out, and I put up the staking system and started to, lash the corn up. I was really irritated at the wind, and I was just like, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of the wind, ugh. And I was barefoot because we had watered that morning, and it was just a mud slick out there. And I'm like, you know what? Shoes are coming off. I'm just gonna do this barefoot. And I had my Felcos on the ground, and I cut open the bottom of my foot because I stepped on the Felcos. So don't garden barefoot if you've got clippers out. Anyway, I think I bandaged that up and just went out and kept working too.
Yeah.
You just got to get stuff done. But yeah, Felcos can be very sharp, so you want to be very careful. I haven't cut myself since then though, thank goodness. Okay, next video is planting as much as I can in 2 hours. So Aaron's sister was here playing with the kids, and I thought, I can get outside and get some things planted. I still hadn't planted beans or corn or tomatoes. Can't remember what else I planted in that video, but anyway, Nicole said if I were sweet potatoes, because I said if I were a potato, this is what I would want to grow in.
Oh, yeah.
And it was in a raised bed full of raised bed mix, which was a different type than the Espoma because I ran out of the Espoma stuff, and it is not good. I don't like it at all. It does not retain moisture, but anyway, it's very lofty and very good for potato growing or root crop growing because I won't have to fight any kind of hard soil. Anyway. The sweet potatoes are not looking so hot. I guess I should start with that.
Blame the raised bed mix.
No, I blame myself big time on that because you guys saw where I pulled those from. They were on our dark north-facing kitchen windowsill, had been wrapped in a nice moist paper towel for 3 weeks, sitting up there, and then I took them out into the 100-degree full sun windy area. What a noob thing to do. I mean, I didn't even think about hardening them off. I planted them. I knew that they were right on a drip hole on the drip line, or an emitter hole, whatever. Anyway, and I watered them in really well. And the next day, they may not live. Let's just say that. That's where we're at with the sweet potatoes. I dug one up. They still have really nice looking root systems, so they might push new growth. I don't know. Yes, as Joe said, Benjamin's egg dance is everything. He's so precious. And he was so excited. I've never seen him do that.
Yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah, it was so cute. And then, okay, so after the video was done, I went and found Aaron because he was treating some of our trees with iron tone because we've got some chlorosis going on. Anyway, Heather said, classic husband and wife conversation. I made a little bit of a mess, which is what you told me.
I didn't make that much of a mess,
It
but
was
a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the auger tends
You didn't show it in the video, though.
well, no, I thought I did. But then
Did that just not make the cut or something?
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Maybe there was something wrong with it. Like
Yeah.
the footage or something.
Maybe it was too, like, all over the place. I need to start using a different camera.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You
Anyway.
tell everybody I bought you one
Yeah,
to
yes,
try,
you did.
and you won't try
I just
it.
haven't tried it yet. You did leave one big hole open with all the.
Well, I didn't leave
dirt
it
out, but
open.
that's
It's just that it. I watered it in, and I think that the soil just settled in
Oh,
that
I
spot.
see. Gotcha. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And Riley said, "Does this make Aaron Iron Man?"
That's funny.
Yeah. Christina said, "I'm just gonna fill it up with iron tone. Is that bad? I love how Aaron is jumping into gardening and learning as he goes, just like the rest of us."
I don't know if it's bad. Actually, I kind of wondered, since we work with Espoma, after posting that video, I wondered if I was going to get a call or an email or a text
John would
or
be
something.
like, "Aaron."
Yeah, like, why did you do that? Please don't show people to do that. Or something like
I
that.
think we were pretty clear that we were just like, we're sick of this.
Yeah.
We're just gonna dump the iron tone in and see what happens.
But I didn't get a call, so either our Espoma person didn't see it, or something.
Or it's okay.
Or it's okay.
Yeah. You know, usually I read the packaging on those, like tree tone and stuff. It takes quite a bit
Yeah.
to, you know, of that
Well, that's
stuff.
kind of what I was basing it off of, is
Yeah.
is how much they tell you to use
Yeah.
of tree tone.
Yeah, and typically you're not fertilizing trees unless you have a problem. And especially like big trees that are established. I mean, it would take pounds and pounds and pounds to treat a great big tree. So
Yeah.
I think you're all right.
Of the organic
It
stuff,
looks
anyway.
pretty good right now. You can see
Yeah.
it.
The other one's not looking good at all, though.
Hasn't started to burn yet, though, so we may bring it back yet.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know that some people do liquid injection? They actually
like drill into the tree?
drill a hole into the tree and then inject stuff up into the capillary
Cambium?
cambium layer?
Cambium layer?
Cambium. Yeah. There you go.
Why don't we try that?
Well, you got to have all the right stuff and somebody to do it, and
Somebody to do it. Was it hard?
well, I think
Sounds like you don't know a lot about it.
no, I don't. I have a very cursory knowledge, but I mean, just having I don't know what you pump it with, like how far you drill in. I feel like that's something you'd want a professional to show
Yeah.
you how to do it first, and then
Yeah.
maybe you could do it on your own if you bought the stuff or whatever. I don't know.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Nicole said, "This time of year we just get carried away. Truer words have never been spoken." Yeah, so I was talking about my tomatoes and how last year I planted 30 tomatoes and I swore I would never do that again. But here I am. I've got 4 tomatoes planted. I have 20 some more plus. Oh, I don't know how many I have sitting in trays. Maybe 20 more.
Whoa.
I don't know, we got a lot of tomatoes. And I got all those Titan frames and we got all this space. I'm like, why don't we just set up a little space over there and just grow them? Don't prune on them, just let them grow. And then people can come and pick them. Actually, so I tried to unload them on this little community patch going in.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yeah. So we noticed kind of behind our vegetable garden, like behind the
One of the houses. Behind one of the
it's
houses.
right next to one of the houses. I just lost it there for a second. Anyway, I saw a tractor out there the other day, and then I went and looked, and I saw them irrigating. It was an empty lot that our neighbors own, so they bought the 3 lots that lined the back of their property so that nobody would build there. And so I wondered, like, what's going on? They're going to be clearly like they're farming this little patch. And so I ran into the guy out there, John, the other night, and he said that the girls, like that we know, that came in and picked flowers last year, they want to grow like pumpkins and cucumbers, just like a little community patch for the neighborhood back here, which is so awesome. And I'm still gonna have them come and pick flowers this year because I asked him, "Are you guys growing any flowers?" And he said no. I was like, good. They can still come over and pick flowers here in our patch. Anyway, I asked him if they needed any tomatoes because I'm like, I got the tomato frames and the tomato plants. I can come plant them for you. But I don't know. I think he has the whole area already packed with stuff.
Yeah. Well, man,
So-
if
and
you're
he's a
growing
farmer.
vine crops, that takes up a lot of space.
It does, but that's so exciting to see that happening right next to ours. Like I'll be able to see their growth, and they're doing it like farming style. So
Like row crops.
Like row crops, yeah. So it'll be interesting, and they're kind of like flood irrigating, and so anyway. Lygia says, "Who else is dying to see Laura in a ponytail?"
You should do it one of these days. Just do a vlog in a ponytail. I don't know why.
I
why
don't
you
know.
wouldn't.
I don't think about it but I have seen some conversation go on about my hair being down and my clothes and how I'm not like super dirty or sweaty. And I do, like, if I'm dripping with sweat after I get done with something, I'll wait 5 minutes before I put my face back in front of the camera just because it's gross, you know? But I've seen people say, well, she's got a team of people just sitting back, you know, waiting, and they come in and do all the work. I'm like, that's baloney. That is baloney. We do have help. I've got great help outside that help with other things. But when I'm doing projects and videos, I am doing 100% of the work unless you see Paul or Aaron come in and help me.
Well, it's usually pretty simple. Like if you have help, you'll see help in the video.
Yeah, we don't try to hide it
But
in
like
the videos.
you know, you don't do all the weeding.
No.
You know, or like the spraying of weeds, like things like that are just happening behind the scenes.
Right.
Or watering.
But what I'm actually filming and doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just kind of laugh. Like, I really want to jump in sometimes and be like, no.
I wonder what some people think in terms of like how much of a production it is. I wonder if people really know, like.
It's just me with my vlog camera,
Yeah.
moving it around a million times.
Right.
That adds quite the extra layer, too. There are some days where I feel like, okay, I don't know if I creatively have this today because I have to execute on all the work. I have to make sure that Ken has enough footage because, like, you're working on something else. I'm out there trying to get a video done, and I want it to be interesting because we've done the same video like 3 other times. You know, like, you can only show potatoes and have it be interesting, you know,
Right.
one time educationally. So you want to try to create something a little bit different and move the camera around. Like, I'll move it around sometimes 5, 6, 7 times to get one shot of me driving with the gator, which means I'm going forward and going back a lot to pick up the camera, and then I drive forward, set the camera up, drive back, then drive back toward the camera. I mean,
Your videos are fake.
it is interesting.
You make fake videos.
It's not fake.
No, it's just.
You take that back. Okay.
What's the word? It's like something pleasing, visually pleasing to watch.
Yeah, well, you want to make things that
Because
are
you're kind of like
interesting.
telling a story at the same time.
Yeah.
Like you're a storyteller, telling the story of you doing the work.
Right. Paris says, do you have black currant or red currant bushes? The jelly is wonderful. I don't yet. I had a red lake currant in our last garden, and it was fantastic. I loved it, and I would like to put some out here. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to put them in a spot like near our other berry plants or anything like that. They may just be worked into our landscape because I think they're a beautiful shrub just by themselves. Dawn said, do you feed your veggie plants throughout the season or just when you initially plant them? Well, sometimes I'm really diligent about it and sometimes I'm not. I figure if I start them out really, really good, like with or really well. Why can't I get that right? Anyway, compost, biotone when I plant them. Usually that carries them through the season, but I will oftentimes come in with Garden Tone midway through their growing season and give them a little side dress of fertilizer. But it's not something I keep on like every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks for vegetables anyway. C. Hall said, I received a Facebook friend request from your site. I accepted. Now I have received a message that I have won a competition from you. Is this legitimate? No. I included this question because it's happening a lot more right now. It kind of happens in waves. We get lots of messages that we've been hacked or whatever. We've not been hacked. It's just
Facebook got hacked. Facebook has a bunch of scammers.
Yeah, but our legitimate Garden Answer Facebook page has not been hacked. It's people that are creating lookalike pages that are trying to imitate us.
Yeah, they're not
who are
even
trying to scam people.
lookalike pages. They're like people.
Personal accounts,
Personal
like with personal
accounts.
pictures on them.
Yeah.
But it'll say like Garden Answer Laura or
Yeah.
Garden Answer official page. Those are not.
You
Those
know
are not
what?
official.
You know
I would
what's
never.
really frustrating to me is that like Facebook is huge. They have tons of employees. The fact that they can't create an algorithm that detects things like that, phony pages, like you've won these things, because they're all the same.
Yeah.
They're not even different. Like when you've seen one, you see that they do it all over. Or like the fact that they can send so many friend requests without something being like
Yeah.
tripped.
And not even just the pages, but the individuals who get in the comment section and be like,
Yeah.
hello, your profile is beautiful. I would like to be friends. Please send me a friend request.
Yeah.
Just drives me crazy that people do that. We try to be diligent. We can ban those people from our page, but there's
But they
no
just create a
recourse.
new one.
Yeah, I know. There's no recourse for us, though, for these pages that are looking like ours, but aren't.
And, I posted about it on my personal account, but I reported somebody because I was getting so many emails from people saying, well, this person is impersonating you and they're using your video, or I forget what the detail was. But anyway, so I went through the whole process, which is lengthy, of actually like doing a copyright strike, and Facebook just got it backwards and they gave us a copyright strike and they left the fake video and fake page up. So they actually removed all of our monetization abilities on Facebook because they treated us like the criminal, essentially.
Like we were the ones.
I was the one that
rules.
reported it, but they treated us like we were
Right.
the ones that did the wrong thing. And it just feels like Facebook is so incompetent because they just got it backwards. And I was eventually able to get it reversed, but the amount of hours that I spent emailing and researching who to contact to get it reversed, and then it just felt like almost an accident that I emailed the right email to get it reversed. I don't know.
There's
just
like,
makes me
it's such a
mad.
faceless company too. Like you don't know who to contact. You don't have, like, we're supposed to have a personal, like an account. Partner,
we had a partner manager for
Partner
a short time
manager.
with Facebook, and
They're worthless.
I actually at one time thought maybe it was a scam.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the person that we were dealing with knew so little that I was thinking, you know what? I wonder if this is just... They had a Facebook email, though. I mean, it was like a this person at facebook.com. And so I thought, well, that seems pretty legitimate.
You were just like kind of treated it.
But I treated it like I thought maybe it was a scam. And to this day, maybe it was. I
Yeah.
never, ever gave personal information or...
Right.
Or disclosed anything,
So please don't do that either. No, please, I don't want any of you guys to get scammed, and we would never send out like requests or messages saying that you won something or ask for any personal information unless we're doing a legit giveaway, which we'll only do on YouTube now, and we only ever ask for mailing address usually, so we can mail out the item that you've won. We don't ask for like when you
win something,
when you win
and
something,
ask
you
for a
don't
credit
need to give
card.
away your credit card. Yeah, that part kind of like, so there's like,
There's like a little part of it that's like, if you actually give out your credit card, it's kind of like, well, that's like
That's on you a little
that's
bit.
a lesson you need to learn. You know what I mean?
a
About
little
how
bit.
the internet
Yeah,
works.
yeah.
I don't know. That's a little bit like somebody showing up with a van and being like, I got candy in the back.
Free
you know what I mean?
plants.
Like,
Yeah.
free plants. It's like that's something that you should just know.
Yeah.
You should know not to.
I think many people,
that.
most people kind of now know it. And that's
Yeah.
why they're emailing us a lot. And just like, hey, just so you know. So anyway, I mean, I know a lot of you guys report pages like that, and we appreciate that. I mean, that's all we can really do. Jesse said, do you ever lose track of Benjamin on your property? There's so much space. I have a 3-year-old, and if we let him come and go as he pleased in a space like that, we'd lose him for hours because he'd wander off to find some tools and do a project behind a shed or something. Guarantee he'd be doing something dangerous within the first 30 seconds. We have pretty close eyes on him, and there's usually multiple people on the property. I mean, whoever's watching the kids at that moment, and then it's you and I, and then, we have outside help that we trust. And so, like, if Benjamin's with me and he wants to go back to the house, I text whoever's in the house, and I'm like, hey, Benjamin's on his way, so just keep your eyes open. And that way, everybody's on kind of high alert, and we always have an eye out for him. He's a pretty good boy, though. I mean, he'll get distracted along the way. He's 3. And, I'll see him halfway to the house, like, kicking clods of dirt.
Yeah.
Like, or getting on a pile of dirt and rolling down it or something, random. Because he gets sidetracked, but he eventually makes it back to where he's going. And usually if I haven't heard back, so that person that you send a text to will send me a text back and say he made it. And if I haven't seen that text in just several minutes, I'll go check on him and say, you need to get, you said you were coming inside, you need to get inside. That sort of thing. But yeah, I feel ya. There were a couple of times where before we trained him to say, I'm right here, where he'd just be silent. He'd start coming toward us
Yeah,
when
he'd
he
start
heard
walking
us.
toward the house.
But that doesn't mean we could see him because there's plants everywhere and things you can, like a little guy can just be behind and you don't see him. And so I would start to get scared. Like I would start running around. Like one time I was running around in my pajamas. like running around, just yelling his name. And he'd made it back to the formal garden, and he was coming up. I just didn't see him.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm right here, Mama. I'm like, Anyway, next video is planting all my vine crops. Arthur said, when I was young, I would get up early and watch cartoons. Now I get up and watch Garden Answer. Awesome. Keith said, my goodness, I hope you have help with a garden this big. What are your plans for all the veggies? Would love to have a garden this lovely. I do have help with the garden out there. And the vegetables and flowers from out there, I really want to, like, now that we have that space set up, I feel like now that it's in its permanent home, this year was kind of another up in the air year to me. Even though I got things in the ground a little bit earlier than last year, I still feel like we're working out some kinks. We're working out some irrigation kinks. We're working out maybe the way I do my rows. I think I might run them east to west next year instead of north to south, because I think the wind might affect them less. It's something I didn't think about, obviously, when I started the garden this year. And last year I ran most of my rows east to west. And the wind, I mean, it affected some crops, but a lot of them were fine. So I don't know, it might end up being just fine. But anyway, my whole goal for that space is just to grow as much stuff as we can, be as efficient with that space as we can, donate what we can't use, give it away to family and friends, food bank. I talked to the Relief Nursery actually the other day, and we have a prison here in our local area that has a huge garden, and the Relief Nursery, they actually stopped planting vegetables they have like 4 little raised beds out back for the kids, and they stopped planting vegetables in it because SRCI donates so much produce to the Relief Nursery. They almost don't know what to do with it. So they were kind of like wanting more flowers and stuff like that in the raised beds rather than food. But anyway, I feel like any kind of growing of anything, whether it be flowers or vegetables, is a fun and good thing. I learn from it. Hopefully you guys get a kick out of watching it. And then if we can donate whatever we can in the end, that's just awesome. Sorry, I just kind of went on and on with that one. Keith also asked, what kind of pen did you use for labeling? I guess it lasts a long time. Yeah, it's just called a garden marker. I don't even know. Let me see if I can Google it and see. Yeah, if you just Google garden marker, it's a weatherproof marking pen. It lasts longer than a Sharpie. Georgia said, I would love to know more about how you choose the number of plants you grow for the purpose of eating. Do you aspire to be self-sufficient with all of your fruits and vegetables? There are so many beautiful pumpkins destined for decorating in your lineup. The variety is going to make for stunning fall decor. Do you ever cook with any of these more obscure varieties? And if so, which are your favorites and do they store well? It's all something I'm learning at this point. You know, the things that stored the best for me in our root cellar, which I'm still working out the kinks with the root cellar as well, but the sugar pie pumpkin stored excellent. The sweet meat squash and acorn squash did. And then what were the last ones? So the Yokohama maybe squash that I grew last year, I think. Anyway, yeah, those did really well for me in the root cellar, which is awesome. And so I think every year I'm going to want to try new things out, except for a few like key things, like the honey nut butternut squash was the best butternut I have ever eaten before. So I grew more of those this year. They were smaller, like individual size ones. And I didn't even get a chance to see if those kept well because we ate them all up so fast. I really, you know, come to think of it, should plant more of those. I should find more space because I only planted one hill of those. There's a huge bee in here. Where are you going to land? It's really weird. It has a really skinny thorax. Yeah, I just Googled mud dauber. That's what it looks like. I'm going to have to clear out that little home it's building. I don't really want that in the sun porch. Thank you. And yeah, as far as like aspiring to be self-sufficient with all of our fruits and vegetables, I love the thought of that. I do. Like, I love the thought of preserving, doing a lot of dehydrating, doing a lot of canning, having the root cellar now. And it's all stuff that I would like to develop as we go throughout the years. And I think we'll get a better system as we get to know our space better. And also maybe years where we don't have massive projects going on, because there's only so much that, you know, you can do. And there's only so much time you want to allot to projects like this, especially when the kids are young. And like this last weekend, I just told Aaron, like, I'm just going to do the necessary stuff that I have to do outside. And then I'm playing with the kids. Like, I'm going to play with cars with Benjamin, and I'm going to read books with Samantha, and I just want to spend some like really good dedicated time with them. And we went swimming a couple of times, and it was such a wonderful weekend, and I think that that's so much more important right now. But I do really want to do that in the future. I want to do more freezing and all those kinds of things, because what we produce on our own property and our own earth always tastes so much better, and it makes you feel good too. It makes you feel more connected to what you're eating and more connected just to everything around you. Zio said, how is the gopher situation? Did the cats ever go after them? I've never seen a cat here with a gopher. Russell, do you ever catch gophers? No. Since we have started any new projects out here this year, I've only seen one gopher mound. And after that, I haven't seen any new ones pop up around it. Benjamin played in the one that I showed him. I'm like, oh, this is where a gopher, came up. And then I proceeded to see him take his shoes off and he was playing in that really nice loose fluffy soil. So I haven't seen much activity. Gary, our neighbor who grew up farming, they live right behind our greenhouse, and he came over last year and he trapped tons of gophers. And so I think he really thinned out the population, which has been so great. Heather said, I love your videos and hope to plant like you one day. How do you keep all of the weeds down? That's the part of gardening that keeps me only having small gardens. So we do have help from Paul out there and also from Nathan. And we use the Dead Weed Brew from Bonide. It's a great weed killer. It's been working better than any other weed killer we've ever actually used out there. And it's organic, which is awesome. So we do spray large areas like the grass area we're preparing up here. We have been spraying out the noxious weeds instead of hand pulling just to get them handled quickly. And they were so massive. There was such a massive amount, hand pulling would have been not efficient. And then in our flower beds and cut flower garden, we hand pull everything, but we have everything zoned. And I think I may have talked about it in last week's recap or maybe the week before, but I've done a whole video on it. We'll link it down below. It's how you can organize your space to where you only have to do a little bit each day and things don't get overwhelming and things never get out of control, actually, if you stay on top of it. Grayson said, off topic, have you or Aaron thought about heating cables under the drive on the new property for future inclement weather? In a past video, you were trying to decide between paved and gravel. You'll have electricity out there. Yes, we do. And I have no idea what installing heating cables entails in terms of what the cost is of that. I have a fairly decent idea of what the cost of paving would be. And while it would be nice for the kids and Aaron really wants it, I don't know. I think for now, since we just created this new driveway area, we are going to gravel and we haven't saved for it. That would be a project we'd have to save for. But I like the thought that with this new gravel lane, we could change it if we want to. If we get into things and how, it's so far everything's laid out, I think, how we like it. But it's nice to know that we can easily change it. If we paved it right now and then we decided, oh, we don't really like it this way, or we need to move it this way a little bit, you can't really do that with pavement like you can with gravel. So it might be nice to live with it gravel for a year or two before we decide to pave it. And really my only my biggest hang up is not the main part of the lane. So from where it's paved right now, it's paved down our lane and then it stops right kind of by the mulberry tree. I wouldn't mind it being paved in front of Versailles all the way around to the barn and then the new driveway all the way up to our parking area. But it's that whole area in front of our barn, greenhouse, and vegetable garden. There's a tremendous amount of gravel right there. I cannot imagine all of that being paved. I think it would look so commercial and so kind of harsh. There's a softness and a kind of country feel and a warmth of gravel, which is weird. But when you pit it against asphalt or pavement or whatever, it definitely, there's just more of an ease about it. And I don't think I would want that entire area all paved. I mean, maybe it would be a good opportunity to figure out different lines over there. I don't know, but that's my biggest hang up with the whole pavement thing. Why not put the name stakes on top of tall stakes at eye level so you can see them when stuff grows big? Do you know where one could get stakes that big? I mean, I know the nursery ones, like the galvanized metal ones that have the big, they're silver and you can put placards in them. That would work probably. I don't know. I mean, that's definitely that's a thought, especially for the vine crop area. And then David said, what finish is on your Grand Kensington fountain from Henry? So that's the one, the multi-level, the fountain that we have in our kind of triangular shaped garden in the driveway area. And that is the Trevia Greystone. I always have to choose things in a lighter gray sort of finish because with our hard water, everything turns white. In fact, that fountain looks white now. It doesn't even look gray. It looks almost nothing like it did when we put it in because of the hard water. But you don't notice it quite as much as you would on a brown stain or something darker. I think in that case I would feel like I had needed to restain the fountain all the time, and I didn't want that kind of maintenance. But the Trevia Gray stone is so pretty. It's a really pretty color. Okay, and then the last video from this week was picking out bricks for the new glass greenhouse and then plant shopping. So Erin and I got away last week on one of the days it was 100 degrees, and we thought this is a perfect project to do. We needed to go pick out brick for the Hartley, and we wanted to stay in air conditioning for as long as possible that day. So we went over, picked out the brick. We got to go, we went to some furniture stores. We didn't buy anything, but we just got to go do a little window shopping. We went to lunch, and then we went and did a little plant shopping at Far West over there in Boise. First comment was from Anna. Take it from me, who lives in a red brick house. Go with bricks that have cooler colors. It's hard to match flowers and pots to warm red bricks. What would look best with your unique stone urns, for example? That is such a great suggestion, and I'm so glad you wrote that comment because I hadn't really thought about it in terms of container. We do natural concrete for most everything, which I feel like is probably easier to match than maybe some other things. But I think, it's so overwhelming to me seeing all those brick options, but I think I am most drawn to that. I think it was called Smokestack, right? Or Smoke something. Anyway, it has a little bit more of a cooler tone to it, but that is the color of our pavers that we used for our walkways here on the west side on both sides of the driveway. So I think while it's not the same exact brick, it'll look like it kind of belongs in the same family, and I think that would be good as well. Jerry said, loved going shopping with you and Erin. Great purchases. Quick question, what kind of water wand was that you watered the trees with? Looked like a very soft spray. Yes, that was a Gecka water wand, and they do have a very soft spray. It was one of the wands that we opened recently in an unboxing video. Okay, this is take 3 on this question. I've tried answering this question twice, and I've gotten to, is my face still red? This is one of those things that's just like a hot button issue for me, and we've tried to include it in other videos, and we have to cut it every time.
It's tough because you feel strongly about it, but you know that you might be in the minority.
Well, I am in the minority.
Yeah.
For sure, but I'm right.
Okay, well let's hear it.
Nurse Nanny JC said, do your plants' trees have a return guarantee? If I invested $1,300 for a tree, it would have to have at least a 1-year return. Have you ever returned a tree, shrub, or plant?
Are you getting
No, no, I have not.
Collar? When do you think a plant guarantee does make sense?
I think...
give me the scenario.
We've talked about this before, and you make a good point that if somebody's bought the plants from the garden center and the garden center has a landscape division that the person has paid for them to come out and do the installation, they've set up the drip, they planted everything. If you lose some of those plants, I can see in that case, not a year down the road though. I think a full year, this bee just keeps on flying around. It has a nest right down here.
Oh, really?
We're gonna have to handle that. But I think a year out is just insanity with how many different weather, we know how many different weather issues we can come up against, and that's not at the fault of the garden center or the grower. They didn't create the weather to kill your plant. There's also some different types of situations where you have transplant shock. That's just the nature of the beast. That's gardening. You lose some plants. That happens. It's still not the fault of the garden center or the grower or the quality of the item. But I feel like if somebody has paid for the installation and that sort of thing, and you lose a small percentage within a certain amount of time, a certain window of time,
sure,
I feel like that's okay. There was one case where I picked up 2 Limelight hydrangea standards, so little tree form hydrangeas, down at my parents' garden center. I brought them home. They were in 15 gallon. They were big root balls. Mm-hmm. Pulled one out, it was great. The root system was nice and healthy. The root ball all stayed in one piece. I planted it, pulled the second one out, and it just, all the dirt just fell away. It had hardly any root system on it. I think in that sort of case, which, I'm not waiting weeks to plant it either. I brought them home and planted them within a couple of days. I took a picture, showed my mom. I'm like, hey, just so you know, I ran across this. In a customer case, I would say the customer could take that right back down to the garden center and be like, I would like a different one,
mm-hmm.
One with a more extensive root system. I think that's 100% fine.
Okay, so before you get into that, let me play devil's advocate just for a second. Okay. What do you think about garden centers who charge extra for a return policy? I think Far West did that when we went in. They asked if we wanted to be part of their,
if you bought this product, you were put in for a 5-year guarantee.
Yeah. So what do you think about, essentially you're paying extra, whatever you're getting for it, it's all package deal, but what if you pay an extra price? At that point, you're just paying for insurance.
Right.
So that question is basically do you believe in insurance? Yeah. Usually that's okay.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I think that makes more sense. That makes it more reasonable.
Okay,
Then
so now that you said that's reasonable, so now what if a garden center decides, you know what, we're going to do that same thing, but we're going to stop charging for the insurance
And we're just going
policy.
to,
We're
like,
gonna just
gamble.
we're going to gamble. We're going to fold it into our regular prices. Or maybe they're the type of garden center that just increases the price of their plants slightly to cover for that
I think,
insurance thing.
Yeah, but then the customer doesn't even realize.
Right.
As long as I think the garden center is making the money for the returns that they're getting, I always.
But maybe you're buying your plants from a garden center who has raised their prices, and so they essentially are charging you extra. At that point, is it okay to take them up on their return policy if they have one?
But you don't know.
No, you don't. But that's where it gets squirrely.
It does
I'm just
get
saying,
squirrely.
like, it can get really complicated.
I just have always felt like it was like buying groceries. So you go to the grocery store and you buy a bunch of perishable items, which plants are perishable too. You take your milk home and you put it on the counter. Then you take it back a week later because it's gone bad.
Yeah.
It's the same as somebody bringing a plant home and not watering it and then taking it back to the garden center and saying, I want a return on this because it went bad.
I get it. I get what you're saying, but all I'm saying is that, like, what if that grocery store charges extra for milk and you essentially already paid for that insurance policy that covers those situations where somebody forgets to put it in their fridge or leaves it in the car?
I think what's burned me in the past is because most of the time, like 9 times out of 10, the things that came back in because of the return guarantee policy were because of not being watered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, plant people, we can tell. We can tell exactly what happened to that plant and exactly what kind of care that plant did not receive to look the way it did, especially in whatever time frame it is in. So, yeah, I don't know. Because then you have to be like...
I think
you can't call them out. That's the thing, where you get a bad Google review like my dad did. So I think Andrew says 2 bad Google reviews, both because of my dad. And then I think he's ended up calling the people and being like, all right, because my mom gets after him. She's like, you've got to take those plants back. Like, I know it's absurd, but you got to do it.
Well, okay, so is that why you don't like the policy is mostly just because...
Abuse of the policy.
It's like...
because of somebody's
You're just
neglect.
frustrated because somebody's coming in making it seem like it's your fault.
Right.
Like you sold me a bad plant when you know full well there was nothing wrong with the plant and it died because of negligence.
Yeah.
And that just burns you up more than the policy itself.
Maybe.
I think we just got to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So basically, if people came in and were just honest and just said, look, I know it was my fault. I have a black thumb, but you also have this policy that I'm going to take you up on. Mm-hmm. That maybe wouldn't burn you as hard as when
not.
people
were
come
just
in.
honest about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do understand that people will come in and say, like, I did everything right. Well, clearly you did not.
Every time it was I did everything right.
Yeah.
Well, clearly.
Because clearly we did everything right, and we still have those plants.
Like, I sold you a healthy plant. I can guarantee that I sold you a healthy plant.
And the reason you know that is because you still have healthy plants from that same load.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, there are exceptions to that too, that statement.
Yeah.
Because like I picked up a seemingly healthy hydrangea standard, which is beautiful and growing great now. You just had to, I just planted it and watered it really well. But, and you don't know some of those unseen issues, they do occur. And I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
That's
my
funny.
parents have always toyed with the whole guarantee policy, and my dad's like, I am, and my mom's like, oh, we got to do it.
I feel like your parents could do a similar thing to what Far West does, where they charge extra and just
buy the Biotone starter fertilizer, and we will add, whatever.
Yeah. We'll do a, however long.
Yeah, and that way you work in, and because, I would imagine that most people don't use the plant guarantee policy. And so...
Because the majority know that they killed it.
Yeah, the majority. But
or it's not that they killed it, but Mother Nature killed it.
Right. If you build in enough buffer to where it covers the cost of the other people, coming in. Because in a box store, a lot of times, the box store's not the person eating the cost, it's the grower. They report to the grower. My parents it stops at my parents. My parents buy these things and we take care of them. And if somebody returns them, it goes against my parents, not against the grower. They can't go back to the grower and be like, these plants were bad, and
they weren't
to help
bad
recoup
plants.
the cost. Yeah. So I just see it from a completely different angle, I think.
Well, and sometimes your parents will refuse plants because they
Oh,
have
yes.
like an
And I did
insect
too.
infestation or something like that. So that does happen where bad
Yeah.
plants get sent from the grower
Yep.
and get rejected.
Right.
Like you won't even take them in.
Right. There were several times where like we'd get a truckload, a semi-load of plants, and I would just like pick a pallet full of plants off of the other pallets and be like, you need to take these back. We're not even paying for these. Because, we'll take a full year recuperating this, or we have to quarantine this whole rack of plants because they have aphids and spray them and spend our time and labor and product to get these plants back up and whatever. I don't know. How long have we been talking about this? I see you looking at the clock. Maybe we should move on. But short answer, no, I have never returned a tree, shrub, or plant. I'm not sure if the ones we have actually qualified because we didn't buy the product. We have our own products to use on stuff like that. So if we kill these things, they're nice looking plants. It's our fault. Catherine said, why wouldn't you match the bricks for the Hartley to the bricks you use on all your new brick paths? Well, the bricks we used for our paths are actually pavers. They're not like a legit brick. So we're going to try to find a brick that kind of, like I talked about earlier, kind of looks like they belong in the same family. So it'll probably be a cooler tone.
But this also goes back to that original like matchy-matchy thing of like, I don't think you need everything to match exactly to look nice and cohesive.
And, I didn't even really mind the plethora of sidewalk options that were in this garden. I didn't ever really like the pink gray concrete, that we still have by the kitchen.
Yeah.
That was the only part that I was like, oh, I don't really like that very much. But like the use of flagstones and then it would turn into brick and then that never really bothered me that much. I think that bothered you more than it bothered me.
Yeah, I think I didn't like the color of flagstone.
The gray.
Also, yeah. No, like there was a lot of yellow.
Oh, the ones behind the gazebo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Those were a little off on the color.
I like more gray
Yeah,
flagstone.
me too. The Gudmundson said, are you picking the thin brick or the regular brick? The regular brick need to be supported or a foundation wall or something below it. We could do either one. I think we're going to have a cap that's going to be a regular brick, and then the sides will be a half brick. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Zio said, what is the first plant you intend to move into the Hartley, or will it be two of everything like Noah's Ark? I don't think I'll be able to fit in two of everything.
It's not going to be that big of a greenhouse.
No, I really want it to be set up to where it's almost like a little, I don't want to say reprieve. Is that the right word? Not really. Like a little spot to sit that's relaxing and pretty with some plants, but I don't want to pack the whole thing out with plants. Like, we're not going to be using it like a production greenhouse. I want there to be a little beautiful table and chairs that we can have dinner, entertain in there, and then maybe like a comfortable, like have it be comfortable to sit in.
Yeah.
Like an extension of the house with some houseplants in there.
Just like a relaxing place to be.
Yeah. And then last question is from Shirley. Do you know about the cypress knees that will be growing up around your tree? They are beautiful, but you need to be prepared for them. They do not play well in a lawn.
I looked that up, and a couple things. One, it looks like the knees happen to like I want to say non-hybrid cypress. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just like cypress trees.
Like older variety.
And ones that are grown where it's very wet, because they can grow in like boggy areas.
Because they produce the knees for oxygen, right?
Yeah, the knees will pop up because they're looking for air.
For those of you who don't know, we'll probably put pictures up, but they're like stalagmites, kind of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
or stalactites.
Stalagmites are from the ground. Stalactites are from the ceiling,
yeah.
right? C and G.
Whichever one.
Yeah.
Either way, we don't struggle with a lot of those like surface roots. I think because we live in such a dry climate that we often don't have standing water on our lawn or anywhere really at any time of the year. Mm-mm. So we'll give them plenty of water, but we have pretty well draining soil. So I don't think that this will be an issue, but we'll find out.
But this whole thing, like these are kind of your trees. Because we saw, I think the college has 2 or 4.
4 of them, I think.
4 of them. They have 4 of them in the fountain area, and they have trunks that are like this big now. And
they're probably,
gorgeous.
25 feet tall at this point?
Yeah,
or
they're
30?
really, really pretty. And when we were there, Aaron was like, what is this tree? We need to have some of these. So we were excited to find them.
It's just a really vibrant green and
soft.
And really soft, like ferny texture. And that's just, I don't know.
Interesting bark.
The only thing, it does get russet colored in the fall, so we'll see. It might be kind of an ugly brown. We'll see.
You know what? I think there's going to be so many things out there, so many interesting things. It'll probably be a good variation.
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot of red, a lot of yellow, some orange, Yeah,
It'll be fine.
I think it'll be good. And that's it for today's recap video.
This might be the longest recap there's ever been.
Do you feel that way because I had to do the whole plant guarantee thing take so many times?
Oh, maybe that's what it is.
Maybe. Yeah, if it even makes it into this video. I don't know. At least it's nice weather and it's nice and comfortable out here today.
Yeah, for sure.
So this week we have hopefully sprinklers going in the new grassy area. Hopefully I will finish filling up our cut flower garden. Things are starting to pop. The dahlias are popping. Corn is up. My vine crops are actually, so we posted the vine crop video yesterday, and then I posted the seedlings are all up today. People are like, dang, that was fast. But I think we're about like 3 or 4 days behind because we've just been barreling through projects. Anyway, yeah, fun stuff. Anyway, hope you guys are all having a great day. Have a great week, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.